Good morning, students. Welcome for the English class, Unit 7, The Supplementary, a Dilemma. It is written by Silas Weir Mitchell. Silas Weir Mitchell was a neurologist by profession. He was the famous physician of his time and a writer of both scientific and literary works. He was born in Philadelphia, studied at the University of Pennsylvania, and received the degree of MD in 1850. He is considered the father of neurologists as well as a pioneer in scientific medicine. He published 25 literary titles, and his medical experiences and background enabled him to write historical fiction with much psychological insight. Many honorary degrees were conferred upon him by many universities at home and abroad. The American Academy of Neurology Award for Young Researchers is named after him. Unit 7, the supplementary, begins with the narrator I. Here, I is Tom. Tom begins to narrate an event of his uncle Philip, who was on his deathbed while Tom was 37 years old. Philip, his uncle, was the brother of his father and Tom's mother. Philip did not like Tom's mother. Philip was an inventor, an able and ingenious or clever mechanical engineer. He made turbine wheels which fetched him more money. He was a bachelor, lived alone, cooked his own meals, and collected precious stones such as rubies and pearls. He grew richer, possessed gems, and became stronger. Once he bought new stone which he kept in his pocket and walked around for a month. Later on, he kept the collection gems in the safe at the trust company. Tom was a clerk and even poorer than his uncle Tom. Tom remembered the words of his mother that they were the only relative of his uncle Philip. Thus, he visited him. He sat down on the bedside of his uncle Philip. As they spoke with each other with malicious or intended to harm, Uncle said it was queer or odd or strange. Hence, Philip represented his wickedness. He said he had a precious stones. After his death, it would be Tom's because he was his only heir. He also said he could make a person happy or contented in this world with his wealth. Nothing was left except the jewels in his safe. Hence, Tom had to pay for his uncle's funeral. As Tom was about to leave him, his uncle informed him that the valuable rubies were in his safe at the trust company. It was in a box. On the top of the box, there was a letter in which there was an instruction not to shake the box. After a week of their conversation, Philip died. The burial or funeral was in grand by his nephew Tom by using all his penny or money. When Tom opened the safe, he found nothing except heavy and strong box made by his uncle. He carried the box to his lodge and locked it in the closet or cupboard. He overthought of the box, its opening and explosion. If it was opened, it should be at a distance. At one moment, he kept the key on his watch guard. Due to overthinking, he lost the chance to marry his fiancée Susan. He was helpless, so he consulted Professor Clinch about his dilemma to open the safe. He was so anxious that he was afraid to be in the room with that box. This he expressed to Dr. Scuff, the doctor of his uncle Philip. The doctor warned Tom the danger of losing his mind. Tom spent hours and hours in the libraries reading about dynamite, which means very danger or explosion. The library attendant informed the police the criminal character of Tom. Tom stopped going to the library and, with fear, he kept the precious box under his pillow. An old doctor advised Tom to give up the despotic or autocratic idea. Tom took the leaves of his uncle's Philip Bible, in which he found the list of precious stones and their cost. It amazed Tom. One of those were the famous sunset ruby of Empress Queen Maria Theresia. Another one was bloody ruby. On the occasion of murderers, even pearls were mentioned. Tom underestimated himself of his knowledge and wisdom about the account. He claimed he was familiar about the ledger. At one time he thought he would take risk to unlock the box or could drop it from somewhere from the height. If it was unexploded, it could be his own. He grew thin and miserable. He took his problems to his father's confessor. He was unwilling to open the box. He counseled him to stop or cease thinking. Susan, his fiancée, said he was cracked like his uncle, so she broke her engagement with him. In his despair, he advertised in the Journal of Science. He changed his name, occupation, place, etc. Even he told and showed the letter to the collector. Now, Tom had left the rubies and pearls to the Society for Preservation of Human Vivisection, which means surgery conducted for animals. Tom left for us to imagine the situation to conclude as a joke or an invention. Dear students, we have completed the lesson. In this lesson, we have learned about an inventor or an able mechanical engineer who was very clever and how he utilized his money and had less relationship with his family members. As a result, there was a dilemma in deciding about his wealth. Thank you, students, for listening to my class.